Unfortunately, sad stories happen all too often where young children are forced to grow up quickly due to the shortcomings of their parents. Today, we will tell one such story. It happened in the 1970s in a small town off the coast of Mexico. After a powerful hurricane, almost all the nearby houses were destroyed. Many people were left homeless, unemployed, and without a livelihood. Among them was a young couple, Fabio and Ramona. They had just gotten married and didn't have any children yet, and they were forced to live in the unsanitary conditions of a shelter with other homeless people. They only had a couple of mattresses. All of their other personal belongings were destroyed by the hurricane. At that time, Ramona found out that she was pregnant with twins. They were happy about this, but knew that their shelter was not a safe place for two newborn babies. Therefore, they decided that Ramona would temporarily move in with her family in another town while Fabio tried to improve their financial situation. He invested any cent he made into building a new house for his wife and children. Since his resources were limited, he only managed to build a small hut. It wasn't special, but it was his own. Ramona gave birth to two beautiful twin boys, and they all moved in with Fabio. When the boys got a little older, Ramona was able to get a part-time job in order to help her husband provide for the family. It was during this time when things seemed to be getting better that Ramona found out she was pregnant again. This was hard news to swallow because there was no more room in the small hut for another family member. Ramona had already begun to hate this baby before she even arrived. When the little girl was born, she was so tiny and beautiful, but Ramona did not accept her. She hated her for causing even more financial difficulty as she was once again forced to stay home while her husband barely made enough money to care for their growing family. The baby girl was named Sheila. She was smart beyond her years, and when she was only 4 years old, seeing the difficult family situation, she expressed a desire to help her older brothers, who at that time worked for a wealthy neighbor tending to his garden. When Sheila was 6 years old, she created her own musical instrument from a couple of boards and played it while singing. She had a very beautiful voice. The owners of the house where Sheila and her brothers worked were amazed by her voice and musical abilities. Even surrounding neighbors came over to watch her perform. People started to pay her money for her small concerts, and soon Sheila began to earn more than the rest of her family. Sheila brought all the money she earned home and gave it to her mother. But this seemed to cause Ramona to hate her even more. She could not accept Sheila's success and did not consider her musical talent a real job. Ramona could not understand why people paid money to hear what she thought sounded like drawn-out whining. The woman shouted and scolded her daughter every day for even the slightest offenses, but the girl was tolerant towards these attacks as she understood that the difficult financial situation was stressful. Only her father treated her with kindness, but this was rare because he was always at work. Once, when Sheila was 7 years old, Fabio came home late and did not find his daughter in her bed. He woke his wife to ask her where their daughter was, and Ramona sleepily replied that she was likely out singing somewhere again. Despite her indifference, Fabio was concerned and ran around the whole village knocking on every door to see if anyone had seen Sheila. However, no one had seen her or knew where she could be. Finally, one woman said she saw Sheila walking out of town early that afternoon. It was then that Fabio realized she simply left home to get away from her mother. Upon learning this, Ramona was not upset. She had never even wanted the girl. Meanwhile, Sheila made her way to the big city. As she walked, she sang to herself, and people would stop and listen to her beautiful singing. The girl did not understand why people reacted the way they did because she thought she just had an ordinary voice. Once, while Sheila sat in the park and sang her songs, a woman watched her for a long time. She turned out to be the owner of a large music studio and immediately noticed the young girl's huge talent, falling in love with her voice. When she asked the girl where her parents were, Sheila replied that she was an orphan, as she was afraid that she would be sent back to the village where she could not help her family. Her only desire was to make a lot of money in the city so she could buy her family a car and a big house so that her mother would finally love her. The owner of the music studio invited the girl to her home and showed her real musical instruments. Sheila very quickly mastered several of them. The woman was pleased to discover such a talent. After some time, Sheila felt comfortable enough to confide in the woman that she actually did have a family, and she explained her reason for coming to the big city. The woman was surprised by her story and decided to help the girl. Together, they went back to her village, where they informed her parents that the woman had rented a large house near her studio where the family could live while Sheila continued to do music. The boys would be enrolled in the local school, and the parents could work in the studio. Her parents were overjoyed. Ramona realized how wrongly she had treated her daughter, and she begged her for forgiveness. Together, they all moved into the new home and lived a happy life. Friends, if you enjoyed this story, please like the video, write your opinion in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to our channel if you have not done so yet. Do not forget to click on the bell so as not to miss the new videos that we have prepared for you on our channel.